Hey guys, how's it going? Ghostly Rich here today. So we're going to be changing some spark plugs on a Chevy Cobalt 2007. Now, if you are wondering how to do this, this will be the video for you, I guess. First thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take a cloth and you're going to want to wipe the top of your engine shroud, mainly in this area. If you're wondering why, it's because when you open this, because that's what you're going to have to do, put your cap down, don't let that get any dirt on it. Then you have to go down, pull a little bit up there, and pull a little bit up back here, because there's going to be a stem back there, and a little bit all the way around, and you're going to lift this off. And if you see, that seal ring actually seals up against there. And you can see the little pop points there. There's a little rubber grommet there. There's a few pop points on here. Now, once you take this off, which is awesome because it has no screws, we have access to our coils. And you're going to want to take a vacuum cleaner. You're going to vacuum clean all this up. You want to just vacuum it up, and then of course take a cloth if you want and wipe this up, so that way when we pull these off, these coils, no dirt goes down there, because that would suck, and then you have more cleanup. You definitely don't want this getting into the block. So like I said, next thing you're going to want to do, vacuum and wipe up here, and these are your coils. So stay tuned for the next part. So when you're doing this, you want to do one coil at a time. That's usually the easiest. Some people will unbolt them all, pull them all out. You can actually unbolt all four of these bolts if you want. It's just a 10 mil bolt right here, and you'll do that to each one of the coils, which is 4. Now the fun part, these clips, just so you can see and you don't try to bend them out, is if you go like this, don't actually unplug each one of them. I'm just showing you because I usually just do this, so that way you only have to do it once. Just wiggle it as you push it back or pull it back. And it's just a safety, so that way you can't actually squeeze it. And then when you actually have this pulled back all the way, then you should be able to squeeze on this part right here and wiggle it back. And that's why you do one at a time. You see, you're not really going to mix them up, but it's always a good idea. And then when it comes to the coils, after you loosen the bolt all the way out, like so. I'm just double checking because mine was still in a tiny bit. And as you can see, hold on to your bolt, pull up a little bit on the coil, and pop. There's your boot. Next thing you're going to want to do is check your boot right here for any moisture. If you see moisture, you might want to actually look at replacing the boot. I have had this, especially with my Mazda. I ended up finding one coil that had a leaky boot, so I went and bought a new one, and that's something you should look for. So if you see moisture on the bottom part there, definitely something to look into. And this is of course where you can look down into the cylinder. Now as you can see, your spark plug's in there pretty deep, so you're going to want to make sure you have a spark plug socket. Well, if you're wondering, what the heck is a spark plug socket? It's actually a socket with a cushion on the inside. I will show you more about that when I go to put the new one in. But what it does is it hugs the spark plug, so one, it doesn't damage itself when you're dropping it in, and two, it makes it so it hugs the spark plug so it doesn't drop out of the socket when you're putting it down inside the hole. Makes it easier also when pulling out the old spark plug. Alright? So, other than that, what we're going to do from this point is I'm going to take this and I'm going to give it a nice wipe down, so that way keep the boot nice and clean. If you want, you can get that ready, and yeah, so stay tuned for the actual replacement of the spark plug. Alright guys, so this is a spark plug socket. You can tell is it usually says SP on it, or it'll actually say spark plug on it. And how you know is, I'm probably not going to be able to show you too much through here, but there's a cushion on the inside, and how you know this has this cushion is actually if you try to put the spark plug inside. Let's see if I can do this with the one hand. There we go. But if you squeeze on it, you'll see that it actually takes pressure to put it in. And when you put the pressure, make sure you put it on the sides, don't put it on the very back tip, because if you do, then you'll re-gap your spark plug, which is what you don't want. But there's a cushion in there anyway, and you'll notice that it is a little bit tighter. Another thing you can do is put a little bit of dielectric grease on here. Oh, see, he actually popped the cushion out, but what you do is when the cushion's in there, you're just going to put a little bit of dielectric on there, and it'll allow you to hold on to it properly, and it'll still slip out a little bit easier because that is a little bit tight. Again, I didn't dielectric these yet. The next thing you're going to want to do is, of course, put a little bit of dielectric on here, just for corrosion's sake, and then you down here you might want to use a little bit of conductive grease, so that way you get, well, better spark. But yeah, so that's basically it. You got your threads here. Give your threads a nice little wipe with some stuff so you don't, so you know your threads are going to go in nice, so you don't cross thread them. So this is the new plug. Got to pull the old one out, and like I said, with that cushion on there, makes it a whole lot easier for getting the plug out of the socket, or out of the engine hole where the plug's sitting in. So stay tuned for that. Alright guys, so if you take a look at this plug, we popped the first one out. See how the tip of the plug is actually quite clean? Like, you see a little bit of rust around here, that's not a big deal. But if the whole tip is rusted, that's definitely a sure sign that you probably got a leak in one of your coils, or this is, you know, it's got a leak from somewhere, and that's why this is all rusted out. But this one isn't. I used to have a demo which came out of the Mazda because I had the leaky boot, and the entire top end was all rusted out, and I was just glad the plug didn't shatter on the way out, because it was definitely not in good condition. But so that's the first one. So the next thing, like I said, you're just going to dielectric grease your plug here. Dielectric grease the top end if you want, and then put some conductive grease on the bottom. And of course, if you want to, with your new plugs, and you're good with gapping, you can always try and gap the iridiums. Some people are against it. I know there is a lot of people against it. Again, go by your own personal judgment if you want to try and gap them, and if you have the right tools to gap the spark plugs, okay? So, other than that, stay tuned for the next part. All we're going to be doing is dropping in the new plug and then putting the boot back together, and I'll show you where to grease the boot. Alright, stay tuned. Alright guys, so as you can see, first plug's in here. This is why you'll love that spark plug socket, because it actually holds it. Then you're just going to drop it in, and you're just going to back turn 2 turns, and then you're going to go forwards 3, and just make sure that it's caught properly, because you do not want to strip your engine head, because that would suck a lot. So once you get that thing started, just hand tighten it, feel the threads, make sure you're not cross threading, it's nice. And then after you do that, then you're going to be torquing them. And what's our torque at? For 15 pounds? Okay. So we're going to be torquing these to 15 foot-pounds of torque. And you can use a torque wrench, or the other way that I've always done it, you grab it with your hand, or the tip of the wrench, and when you grab the tip of the wrench, you go like this. And if you do that, then you're good. I'll show you right here. You just grab it like this, and then do that. And if you start feeling some pressure on there, that's 15 pounds. Like, it's literally nothing. It's very loose. Don't try and crank them in, because getting them out again is where you're going to strip and have problems. Alright, so now that we've got that going, we're just going to tighten it. We're actually going to use a torque wrench, like I said, and so stay tuned for the last part here. So guys, next thing you're going to want to do, see that tip piece in there? You're going to want to throw a little bit of conductive grease just on the inside there and around, so that way it makes full contact and you're 100% well for hitting the plug. So the next thing you're going to want to do is you're going to slide it in there, and you're just going to squeeze it down. Oh, one other thing to note on the boot, if you look right here, make sure it's sitting flush up against here, so that way it creates that suction pressure. Okay, so again, we'll just go like that. Make sure you don't pinch the boot, or well, you want to squeeze it and pinch it, but you don't want any ripples. So once you're in there, as you can see, we're all the way down. We have the spot for 10 mil. Throw that big long bolt back through there. And then again, do the old back 2, then go in. And you can start up by hand if you want, and then from there, you're just going to tighten it with that. And then the only other thing you got to do is plug that back in. Push the gray forwards, and that's it. That's all done. Just tighten that up, and then you just gotta put the shroud back on. So, other than that, I hope this video helped you out. Thanks again for watching. Press the like button if it did, and of course, if you want to see some more of my videos, press subscribe. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.